So I was truly not expecting to do a video today. That's why I'm completely undone and didn't put any makeup on or anything. I started, okay, yesterday I went skating in the evening, and it was like in the 90s, so it was kind of hot, and I was kind of dehydrated and really wiped out when I went to bed. When I woke up tired, so I just wasn't planning on doing anything. I did have to go over to my brother's house to watch Gracie while he went out for a little bit. So I went with, yesterday I kind of dozed on the couch. Normally I would sit at the table and write or whatever. This morning I was just like, yeah, I'm going to the couch. Straight to the couch. So I did that, and of course, you know, normally I get ready like to start the day. Like I would have hung out in my office for an hour and a half or so and then got ready. And today I was like, yeah, I'm gonna nap over there. I'm going to just chill, not worry about doing any videos, not worry about skating because it's freaking hot. And just take the day off, maybe clean something or whatever. And that was all fine and good. I did kind of nap on the couch while I was hanging out with the kid, so that was kind of nice. And then my brother sent me a text saying he was almost back, and then obviously I woke up and that was kind of that. So then came back home briefly, walked the dogs briefly, and then we did that over at the cemetery, and we just went a half mile because it was already freaking hot at that time. I think it was like 10:30 by the time we got over there. It was really humid, so we just didn't do a whole lot on that end. And then my brother brought Gracie over for me to watch her a little bit while he had an appointment, and then went to pick up his wife. And everything was fine and dandy. And then somewhere along the way, my dogs got real chaotic with the barking. Well, all of our dogs, so like the 5, well, 3 of them are mine, but there's 5 in the house. And they all kind of went nutty on the barking end. Of course, I've been tired today, so that didn't help. But it was just kind of getting on my nerves. And then Gracie came over, and then we went over to my aunt's house to potty the puppy again. And it was fine, except for it was hot. So, while I was concerned about having the puppy outside so it could do its business, Gracie kept wanting to go inside and trying to get the puppy to go that way. And I finally was like, after the puppy at least peed outside, I was like, look, I said, fine, we'll go in for a little bit because it is hot out here. I said, but that puppy poops in the house, you get to clean it up. She didn't like that. But we went in all the same. She ended up turning on Bluey, and you know, I'll be honest, I have to go back and rewatch the episode of Bluey because it was a new one, and I didn't get to see all of it because, of course, then the puppy started looking for a spot to go, and then I had to take her back outside. You know, fed her a little bit, all that fun stuff. But there was just a lot of back and forth, kind of arguing with the child on allowing the puppy some time to do stuff and not trying to distract it away back to the porch when it's finally looking for a spot to pee or to poop or whatever. And she's just, I mean, she's 8, so she's, yeah, that didn't go real well. So she's kind of getting on my nerves on at that point. Then we eventually came back over to my parents' house, and then she got to a point where she just started, like, yelling and screaming for no reason. And that was getting on my nerves. And of course, the dogs and their barking business, because then she's got them all wound up on top of it. And then it's just like a whole lot of chaos. And then, no, Gidget, no, take a break. For what it's worth, dog here has gotten to play, contrary to what she wants us to think. I threw the ball for her several times before I came down here. And she's taken her little bit of a break, and though she's still panting like crazy because she is headstrong and doesn't like taking breaks. But she's going to take a break. Thank you. She laid down. But yeah, we get to listen to her pant, so that's helpful. Anyway, so the kid's being loud and unruly, and then decide she's ready to watch TV. It's like, well, maybe that'll distract her a little bit. So we found Disney Plus, and we were going originally after more Bluey, and then she got sidetracked by Super Kitties or whatever, and we had to go that route instead. Fine, whatever, don't care. Just had to jump through a couple hoops to get logged into Disney because it's my mom's account, and she got it specifically for the kid being over here as much as she is. And so it's hooked up with her email and her password and all that stuff. So we had to jump through those hoops while she was at the hospital with my grandpa getting his second round of chemo for the week. So then we got her watching something. Then I get the stupid email again. Or not email, text message. My dad and his freaking text chains are back. And my mom has told him repeatedly to take me off of the chains. Stop putting me on them to begin with. I've told him that. And beyond that, I'm, not caring to be around him or talk to him because he's still trying to push that crap all the time. And I'm not going along with it. So, it was kind of tedious. My mom, it was funny. He sent this thing and said he created the group. And obviously, from that creation of the group, he put me in it again. Then my brother, my sister-in-law, my mom, my uncle, and one of my aunts, and some phone number I didn't recognize, which I assume is his old work buddy. And like immediately, it's some Glenn Beck crap that's talking about, the Vatican and something with evil or whatever. It's like, yeah, okay. So I didn't say anything, and the next response to it was my mom, and she said, take Sarah off of this email or off of this list. And my dad says, I thought I did. And she said, nope. No, I said nope. And then my dad says, disregard this chain, I'll start a new one. And of course, nobody's going to just disregard it because then people have to respond to things, right? So then my uncle sends something and it's like, ugh, shut up, dude. And then my brother sent something. He was just being a smartass. And I think he's also figuring, yesterday when we were talking, after he got back home, I told him that, that's the whole point of boundaries. That's why I said something the last time I got put on the stupid chain, is because otherwise it's just walking right over top of the boundaries every single time. It's like, and if you ignore it, it's just going to get worse. It doesn't go away. So you got to kind of call it out. But then of course, he made a smart ass remark. He sent a Tosh.0 meme or something. It was just a picture of a dude with a weird look on his face. But then then of course my dad says, I don't know who that is. And then my sister-in-law responds, and it's like, dude, I'm still in this damn group. Leave me out of it. You know, and it got to a point where, like, just, I was all frazzled just because, like, the chaos that ended up picking up this afternoon. And it's like, okay. So I got to a point where it's like, you know, mind you, pretty damn close to 100 degrees with the real field temperature. And after my brother and his wife picked up Gracie, I was like, I'm either going to have to skate or weed something or something because I gotta get out of this, like, bad energy that's, like, suddenly just surrounding me. And, like, oh my god, it's so freaking tedious. So I decided to go with the weeding option, and so I have my long sleeves and my jeans on so I don't get all buggy. Never mind the fact that it's freaking hot. The side of the house that I was on was the east side of the house, so it gets, like, it's really hot all day until I think it was like 4:30 when I went there, and it was far enough in the west at that point that there was enough shadow that I didn't have to hang out in the sun, but it's still hot. So yeah, so I spent some time pulling weeds. And then I was thinking, so what I was thinking about. Okay, so I'm pulling all these weeds, and they're, like, ridiculously tall, and there's not the dandelion things, but the spiky ones that hurt when you catch them just right. And of course I have, like, picks on my sleeve now from those little assholes. But they're, like, insanely tall. And then it sent me on this whole other thought process, right? So about, I'm going to say back in 2020, I had this random thought one day. Okay, that's probably going to be gross, but I don't care. So I had this random thought about connecting more closely with the earth. And what I thought was about, you know, I was trying to get into all these menstrual things to not just send so much trash and waste to the landfills and all that crap. So I got the cups and, you know, some other stuff. But I had this thought about collecting the blood and returning it to the earth. You know, because, well, I think I am certain wherever I go, she knows where I am, right? So I was thinking that if I connect in that way, then it would also open up space for, you know, essentially for her to connect with me and help me in, like, okay, one of the ideas was, like, regulation of stuff period related, and, you know, if no, we're not doing that right now. If there's something in my system that is lacking, then she would essentially be able to connect with that, or with me on that, and assist me in bringing what I need around. So it's not something that I do all the time, but periodically I do. And back in May, I got these 2 peony plants for my mom for Mother's Day, and I planted them over on the east side of the house in that flower bed. And also, got a blister or something starting to form. Also, there's a lilac bush over at my grandparents' property that is growing up on the other side of the fence, which that's not our property. There's a neighborhood over there on the other side of a pond. So conveniently they put the pond there, so we're not a part of the neighborhood. But because there's a pond there and our family refused to pay in on it to have access to the pond, because we didn't want to have, what they wanted to do was put a walking path from we live off of a private drive, and essentially it's kind of the house at the very end down there. You know, everybody knows it by their name because they own a construction company. So, you know, it's just, I mean, they do the upkeep on it because they have the equipment to do it. They paved it and all that fun stuff. Of course, they talked to everybody about it before they did that, but still, you know, they made sure to get it done. So what the neighborhood was wanting to do was have access for people to park on the private drive and then walk through next to our property, which that empty lot, it belongs to my grandparents. So of course they were like, no, not gonna do it. And we don't utilize the area behind the fence anyway, so we just, not ours to worry about. So since there was some of the lilac bush coming up, we went, or both of my aunts and I went over there and dug up a bunch of starts and took them home. And I had planted like 3 or 4 over on that side of the house. So when I did my last collection, you know, I put it on the new plants to kind of give them a start. But I did not get in there to pull the weeds soon enough, so the weeds benefited from essentially the fertilizer as well. And oh my god, they were so tall. Like my dad mowed over a small section of them, but I mean, there's blocks there, so I heard him go up over them to try to get it or get part of the weeds, and I just hear the blade on the bricks. It's like, but anyway, so I was thinking while I was out there pulling weeds about how, you know, the collection for the sake of the plants was a good start, but I didn't do the work immediately to get rid of the weeds, so they also benefited from it, right? So so I'm out there, neighbor kid on the scooter, I'm out there pulling these weeds and thinking about how I did it to myself. You know, that's Um, the lilac bush that I had pulled some or gotten some starts from. Those mainly did not make it because they got choked out by weeds. No. And yeah, there were also some chipmunks involved. Those things are assholes. As well as the squirrels, as I mentioned yesterday. So I'm out there pulling these massive weeds and knowing that I'm going to have to go back to it and recognizing the fact that I had this good start, or this idea to start these plants off really well, and then I didn't follow through with it, or I didn't follow through enough with it. And then I was just kind of thinking about how that's kind of I have the tendency to do that sometimes. And so I get something going and it's all exciting and I'll follow through with it for a little while and then get distracted, not worry about it, and then all at once the weeds are grown up and the plants are gone or whatever. So today's priority was make sure my peony plants that I got my mom for Mother's Day don't die. Because whatever, I forget what I got her last year, but they did die. Oh, it's a couple rose bushes. And it was like around this time of year when it's really hot, and like I was doing good on watering it, and then one day I didn't, and then it became a habit of not doing it, and then it died. It was like, oh shit. So I'm trying not to go that route with these. So pulling the weeds and realizing that just because you do the thing, a good thing, if you don't continue to take care of it and to nourish the part you do want to make it and pull out the junk you don't want, then the other stuff will stick around enough until it comes back, and then it makes your life, well, I mean, not necessarily a living hell, but kind of is a pain in the ass. Gidge, go over the fence. No. So yeah, and I was thinking about that because this whole deal with my dad as well, right? So I didn't have to say anything today because my mom did, and I actually I had an idea. If the conversation had continued beyond what it did, I thought maybe I'll just take a picture of myself doing one of these with and like Photoshop flames in the background or something, and just start responding with that. It's like, I might do that yet. If I keep getting put in the shit, then that's my next step. So yeah, so is only effective if you continue doing the work and don't just give up along the way. And I think that's why I am where I am at this point in time, with like my own journey. Okay, and I've mentioned this before as well, where, I watched one tarot reading, Nordic Light or Tarot, or Kino Tarot, where they were talking about how it might feel like your guides aren't answering you, but it's because this part of the journey you have to pick and choose what you want for yourself, essentially, and work on co-creating that with the universe, but I have to set the intentions. I have to choose that this is something I care about and want to see more of in my life, like, peace for one thing, and yes, for me, but on a grander scale too. Like I want that for more than just me, and well, since I'm on that direction, there's another story that I've kind of thought about talking about a few times and just haven't done yet because I didn't really find the opportunity, but now seems like it might be a good opportunity. So I think it was my last year in undergrad that, or I was newly out. My brother and his now wife came to visit and have her meet everybody in the family before they got married and all that stuff. I don't know the time frame on when they came versus when they got married. I think they got married in 2006, so that was also the year I graduated, so it could have been either way. If it was at the start of the year, then I would still be an undergrad, and if it was at the second part of the year, then I was newly out. So, hi buddy. So yeah. Anyway, Jennifer loves Costco and always has. And at that point, I don't think we had ever been. And so she had a membership, and so she wanted me and my mom to go with her to Costco. They had a few things to get. So I'm just along for the ride as much as anything. And you know, we're there, and I'm just there doing my thing, hanging out with them, talking, and meandering aimlessly at times because I have that tendency. Yeah. So we're at the store, and we finally get through all of it and end up at the checkout. And the people in front of us, there are two ladies and then a little boy that I assume was one of their sons. So I figured mom, sister, son. Now, I was there, you know, with my mom and my sister-in-law. So their little boy was probably 4. Now, I am from a predominantly white town, and in fact, it has not shown any signs of diversity until in the past, like, 15 years or so. Yeah, like, the entire time I was in school over here, you know, there were two or three black kids that were adopted or fostered by one of the families down the road from me, but that was the extent of the diversity. Maybe, well, and there's a couple Hispanic kids that I went to school with. Just not much. So we're in this line behind this black family, and no big deal. I'm there kind of just meandering through my thoughts, and my mom and sister-in-law are engaged in conversation about something, and the other two ladies are unloading their cart, and the little boy is sitting in the basket at the front, and he accidentally kicks off his flip-flop. Well, can't not help this child with his shoe, so I pick it up, and I didn't know what was acceptable for me to help, honestly, and I was trying not to impose on their whole, I don't know, anything. I didn't know how to interact with other races at that point, to be honest. And so I picked the flip-flop up. My intention was just to put it next to him in the basket so they would have it with them and wouldn't leave it there at the store. So the little boy, after I pick up a shoe, he holds his foot up. And so obviously he's wanting me to help put it on his foot. So I did. It's like, well, I can't not help this kid, right? So we're kind of having our own little moment while my mom and sister-in-law are otherwise engaged, and his mom and aunt or whoever were otherwise engaged. And I pick his flip-flop up and put it on his foot. And he gets this really thoughtful look on his face. He says, huh, white people helped. I was just like, okay. And his mom and her sister or whoever it was, they were just like, and my mom and my now sister-in-law were kind of like, so it was a whole lot of okay. You know, but on the way out to the car, I was thinking about that, and the thought process that went through my head initially was, well, maybe he'll realize we're not all bad. Something to that effect. And kind of this thought of how sad is it that that's the message that gets passed along, is that white people won't help. And then the thought, that voice, that wise voice that always chimes in at just the right time, follows it up with, what kind of world must they live in that is the lesson they feel they need to teach this little boy. It's like, you know, and I was just like, one, I'm not okay living in. And that was always something that stuck with me for a long time, because, you know, we're at like 18 years now. So he has always stood out. I have a very fond memory, and very enlightening for me as well, you know, with that little conversation with that voice in my head. Yeah. I don't remember what started me on that path now. See what I can come up with to carry it on, though. You know, and thinking with that one, that was at the end of my undergrad career. So the beginning of it, now mind you, as I said, come from a small town where there's not really been any diversity. You know, even the kids that were fostered down the street, they were several years younger than me, so like I saw them a couple times in school, but I don't think, aside from the elementary, we were really at the same school. So yeah, so the beginning of undergrad, got shat upon again, damn it. Such is my life. Gross, dudes. Gross. So I'm probably going to have to stop doing videos at this end of the yard. Maybe I'll have to go back to the cemetery and the skating stuff. Because clearly under this tree is not a good idea. So anyway, maybe I'll just slide over here. Twice in 2 days. That makes me think. Okay, yesterday, that second video that I did, where I addressed the fact that I had been shat upon by a bird earlier in the day, that was a lot funkier. That was definitely some berries in that one. So yesterday, you know, I had that point of thinking, you know, is that a sign I'm not supposed to do this? I very much don't think that's the sign that I'm getting from this. I think It's the universe testing my my motivation. Oh, leave it alone! Don't eat it. Yeah, Gidget was sniffing it. She didn't eat it, she just sniffed it. Anyway, I think the universe is testing me to see how much I am willing to continue that stuff. Because now that I'm actually, I mean, I've been talking about deeper things all along the way, but now that I'm kind of telling some of the stories that were big lessons for me on the path, and not just venting my spleen about the difficulties and reclaiming my life for myself, I feel like, you know, it goes right back along with that whole where I mentioned that tarot video and talking about having to figure some of this out on my own. Shit. Literally. I think it's testing me on my quit, because I've had a lot of quit in my time, you know, like, and the first thing that comes to mind on that end was when I was in the military and then I got my brain injury. Part of, okay, like, I did not have the motivation at all to channel my fortitude, if you will, at that point, because I was so wiped out from dealing with my I'm not gonna say it's not gonna do it again, and I think that's probably the damn squirrel again, who knows. Anyway, I've thought many times that I could have fought harder and put forth the effort to continue my military career, even though it would have been more difficult after the TBI. I think I could have done enough of the healing work to continue that, but because I was not in a good headspace with the stuff with my ex, I didn't care. You know, it just kind of was like, I mean, I did, but it didn't. Because on the one hand, I had this contract and I didn't fulfill the contract. On the other hand, I realize now that the biggest part of me being in there was to realize that I'm affected by other people's energies. So, yeah. No. And to learn other stuff that's been connected with that. You know, had it not been for that really intense situation of having to battle buddy somebody that had been sexually assaulted, and then later realizing I was taking on all this energy that she had, like the anger, the sadness, and all these feelings that I was somehow picking up on those, you know, and I felt it the entire time until I came back home and had been away from it for a little bit, and then it's like, how is it all just gone, you know? So yeah, that was one of the bigger things that stood out more obviously for me. Yeah, so that's a big part of why I'm being challenged as much now. To see how much I actually care about doing this, and am I going to quit? And even if I get shot on 2 days in a row, no, I'm not going to quit. Even if I'm a freaking hot, sweaty mess, because I've been pulling weeds and didn't think I was doing any videos, here we are anyway. And now I've been shot on the second time, second day in a row. You know, and I think that's part of it too, because these are stories that were important to my journey. So, I'm going to try this again. So, at the beginning of undergrad, I was in marching band, and it was my first time in, you know, serious a marching band with people who really took it freaking serious. Because, yeah, we took it serious in high school, but it's still high school, and part of it was you have to do some kind of music, so do you love it enough to do mostly that, or you gonna switch out and do something else? So I was with all these really intense people. And mind you, I was pit section leader my junior and senior years. And when I got to marching band, and I was with people that were actually music majors, and now mind you, I never had the inclination to go or to major in music because I never thought I was good enough. I have a spider on my knee. Let me show you. There we go. Just a little guy. Let me bond with nature today. Okay, so this time I can't say I manifested it. I can't say I didn't manifest it though, because here's the thing with that. Yesterday, I made the comment when I thought it was just a. I think Tess just caught a lightning bug, and drool went everywhere. Anyway, I thought he was glowing for a second. So yesterday, when the squirrel threw grass on me, I thought it was a bird. And then I said, oh well, as long as it's not shitting on me. And then, later in the video, like 20 minutes later or something, then I did get shot upon and I didn't realize it. It was just a little tiny white dot. And I realized it's like, oh, I kind of manifested that, right? Well, so I'm thinking back to that Healing Chaos card, and how sometimes you need, that dude, this must be like some kind of jumping spider because he's now on the other side. There he goes. My guess would be wolf, but I don't know spiders that well. Anyway, so the Healing Chaos, and it made me think that part where it says sometimes you need some kind of chaos to shake it up, or shake things up and push you into where you're supposed to be, or yeah, and something about chaos can lead to the most healing. So that was kind of chaotic in my video with the getting grass thrown at me by a squirrel and then getting shat upon in the same video. And then I've laughed at that a couple times today, I'll be honest. So since it's still in my my vibration, the frequency I'm putting out into the universe, I don't think that's what I need. Maybe it is, I don't know. On that end, I do think is one of those things that it's so freaking random that is giving me something to be both entertained by and to be more myself by, because I make fun of myself all the time and now I'm getting shat on by the birds. So what's not funny about that? Yeah. And then since that's my frequency and that was just 4444, yeah. Anyway, so I guess that's the first story is not really necessarily relevant. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I think the big point with that one was there. Okay, so I started in Pitt because I loved the marimba, but then I was with people that could actually read music. I couldn't read music. I still can't read music. Now, I know, or I knew, I don't know if I still know, I could figure it out, what the notes were. I was just never good enough to read it from the page and put it straight onto the instrument. So I cheated. And I would write the notes above it, so I didn't, it was because I can't process that fast. I've never been able to just, so I would put the note above the actual note, like what it, the letter it was. And then based on where it was on the scale, I would know which one it was. You know, and then beyond that, it was a matter of memorizing stuff, because that's how you do marching band. You memorize shit. So, God. Yeah. So, once I got to college marching band, then people actually know how to, read music. Try not to at least put it on the camera the whole time. Okay, so I'm with other people that actually know how to read music. It's like, I'm not going to be able to keep up with this. So I got switched to symbol line, requested it because, well, I wasn't going to figure out the mallet parts that quickly, you know, because they would like start practicing, and it's like, I can keep up with this. And then that put us at a whole new thing, because then the problem was I didn't know how to march. I mean, the marching part wasn't that difficult, but as far as like having, you know, particular set points that you have to go to and all that stuff, it's like, I'll figure it out, I guess, but it wasn't real wonderful. That's where I met my friend Nathan, that committed suicide. I don't know if that was yesterday's video I talked about him. I think so. And I also met this other girl. We were kind of, the three of us were kind of odd friends, I guess, but that was my friend group. It was this black girl that was my age, and she came up to me one day when we were on our way back to the building from practice and starts talking to me, and my immediate thought was, she wants to talk to me? I didn't think that was the thing. I thought that from my experiences, my limited experiences at that point, because I hadn't encountered the kid at Costco, that was like 4 years later, so so she started talking to me, and I was caught off guard. It's like, I didn't have a problem with it. I just didn't think she would have any interest in talking to me. So, yeah. You know, and like, when I think back to that kind of stuff, I think my high school French class, which that in and of itself was kind of an ordeal anyway. When I was going into high school, my mom said, well, you have to take Spanish. And I was like, who says I have to take Spanish? And she said, well, it would be stupid not to, because there's so much Spanish-speaking population moving in and all this stuff. I was like, just because she told me I had to, I did not go that route. So I went French, because that was the only other option. It's kind of funny, because my brother and I both took some German in undergrad. I think he took more than I did. I took just a semester of it. But it's like, why wasn't this an option in high school? That was way cooler. You know, but I went with French because that was what I had available. And because my mom told me I had to take the other one, and I was like, no, I don't. So despite my mom, I went French. Yeah. And then we had, I think my junior year, we went on a field trip, and one of the Indianapolis public schools in, well, obviously in Indy, had a French play that was happening in their building, and it was during school hours, and we went to it, and I remember our teacher basically threatening us not to do or say anything stupid and racist. And it's like, okay. And I mean, I get that, like, for some of the people that I had in the class, that completely makes sense to me. It just seemed weird to me that it was this thing that had to be specifically addressed ahead of time. But then it's like, well, I mean, in hindsight, it probably makes sense, I guess. But I remember, I didn't really like talking to anybody beyond my immediate friends back then anyway. I've always been kind of introverted. I mean, and that whole getting bullied for a ridiculous amount of time, that just helped me not want to say anything to anybody, because, well, you never know when you're going to have the right thing come up to get that going again. So anyway, we go to this IPS school, and there was this kid, high school somewhere, I think, so comparable to my age, and I remember him looking at me and saying something about fucking cracker or whatever, and I was just like, I laughed. Because my first thought was, I know a lot of flaky white people, and sometimes I definitely fit that category. I'm not afraid to admit that. So when I heard that, my thought wasn't that this dude's trying to be racist or whatever. It was just, oh, that kind of fits. Because I know I'm related to a bunch of those too. So sorry, it is what it is. Yeah. But so then when I'm in undergrad, it was just, I didn't think she would have any interest in talking to me. Not that it was a problem one way or another. She ended up being one of my good friends for a little while. And yeah, those being my experiences with that. But I don't remember how I got directly into this frame of thinking, or what set me into it. Again, I know I was talking about the weeds, and I think part of it was, realizing that if you don't deal with the part where you have to do the work to clear out the weeds, oh hey, there's such is my life right there, right? Thus has been my healing journey. If you don't do the work to clear out the weeds, it's all too easy for them to pop up. And even if you are fertilizing the good stuff, the stuff you want to keep, the weeds will benefit from it, if you don't work on pulling them out. Oh, that makes perfect sense now, and that takes me back to that one memory. I don't remember which video I talked about it in, but when I was in drumline in high school, okay, my senior year, so when we won Winter Guard Internationals or World Guard Internationals. I don't remember what it was. It was 20 years ago, dudes. I mean, 22 if we want to be specific. Yeah. So my senior year, I was section leader for the pit, and our drumline group won this world championship, even though like literally the only group that made it international was there was a group from Japan in one of the other classes. One singular group. So it always seemed weird to call it, or to say we won world, but I mean that's what they were saying. World championship. There it was. Anyway, so we won this thing. So before we won this thing, when we were getting ready to go out for awards, okay, I've talked about Tyler a ton. Tyler was my drumline counterpart. He was the section leader of the battery. And he was one of those people that always made space for it to be okay for me to exist. And when I was getting bullied in middle school, once we got put with the full band, I was pretty sure he was aware of it, but he never contributed to it. So then he and the other guy, Paul, which was, we did 6th, 7th, and 8th grade concert bands, percussion section together. But Tyler had his experience with drums for like forever. His family was musical. I think his dad still plays in the church band and all that stuff. And Paul's family was also musical, and I think he was really good at piano and that kind of stuff growing up as well. So, they had these two things. And then there was me, who just kind of jumps in at 6th grade trying to figure it out from there. So when they were the only ones that, stuck with percussion to that extent, that, they were in it in high school, because everybody kind of trickles out after a while. So for winter percussion with drumline, we had a bunch of people like from other instruments that would come over too. There were 5 of us my senior year that were seniors, and it was me, Tyler, and Paul, and then the other 2, one of them I hated. Well, I wanted to hate. There again, I can never actually truly hate anybody, because I always pick up on the stuff that's leading them to do the shit they do. So the dude I wanted to hate, and the girl that used to be my best friend, or one of my best friends in middle school, and then we went our separate ways for a while, and then there was some stuff that I didn't really care for being too closely involved with her either. So then she just joined for our senior year for the winter percussion. So those 2, if it was only those 2 and me and Tyler, then it would have been a non-issue, and I wouldn't have learned this lesson. But it was an important lesson for me to learn. So, okay, so when we were getting ready to go out for awards, it was really important for me that Paul be able to go out with us, since, we started in concert band together in 6th grade, the 3 of us, and it was really important for me to have him with me and Tyler, because it felt like it was this thing that we'd all done together for like this extended period of time, right? So Paul also is my birthday buddy. He was born 1 year exactly after I was, and he and Tyler were like best friends for a long time. And normally when we went down for awards, it was me and Tyler because we were the captains, and then our section leaders, and then the guy that I was dating at the time, because he had one of the featured roles for the show. At least junior year, because we had this role where he had the megaphone and this preaching thing to go with the song Disgustipated, I think, by Tool. He had the preaching role, you know, so he was obviously a key element of our show, so he got to go, or we had him go out with us, mainly because, you know, me and Tyler, yeah, that's cool, but at the same time, you know, you can't not have the, like, most obvious person out there too, even if you wasn't in a leadership role or whatever. So yeah, so we'd all go out there. So this last day, when we're going out for the awards for this thing, and like, I just knew standing there, you know, I looked at Tyler, it's like, we got this. And before we went out for awards, I was like, we should have seniors go out. He's like, let's do it. So, you know, and it was, got to be my idea, and I mentioned it, and then he was immediately, let's do it. And so I told the guy I was dating, it's like, look, we're gonna have seniors go out for this one, sorry. You know, which kind of felt like a little bit of a bitch move, since he'd gone out with us for like almost not every single time, because there were a few times before we really appreciated the importance of his role that he got added to, the three of us going out to the floor for awards. So then, you know, I tell him, it's like, look, seniors, you know, and he was like, okay, you know, it wasn't a problem. So then, like, I was like, where they at? Find them, let's go. Go and bring them out. And we all got in line, and, you know, Paul was in line behind me, and then the other two, the one that virtually made my life a nightmare for a while, he was behind Paul, and then the girl that had just joined us the last year was at the back of the senior line. But I mean, it's still seniors, we were all going out to the floor together, so, you know, but that one made me realize that if somebody is good to you, then it will be more important to include them in doing this positive thing. You know, it's more important to have them out there than it is important to not have the one who treated you like shit for years to go out there too. You know, because if he was the only other one out there, they would not have got to go. If it was, even if it was just him and the other girl, no. But because it was specifically somebody I cared about that had also made space for it to be okay for me to exist, when so much of my peers were making me feel like it was not okay for me to exist, you know, that took priority, and I wanted him out there with us in that moment. And it was just like, you know what, other guy, who cares? Yeah, forget the shit. We'll just I cared to have Paul out there, and Paul got to be out there, so there it was. You know, and that's, let me think on how I can tie this back in with my weeds. I don't guess it really has to tie back. You know, but I think just the point that's part of the tending to the good things. And if you still Okay, I'm trying to do good and put more good in the world than the other option, you know, and I'm still, yeah, I mentioned yesterday in one of the videos that my dad basically uses me as an insult now, because I'm just like crazy or whatever. Yeah. It doesn't matter what good you're trying to do sometimes when, you know, if in that case the weeds haven't been fully pulled out of my life yet, and they're trying to pull me back into the drama and choke out the good plant that I want to exist. No. Yeah. No! Will you stop? Just sit down. You're okay. She'll talk to me over here. Yeah. She don't care that her mama got shat on. Yeah. No! Damn it, she came back with it. Yeah, so Daz just rolled off the platform into the rocks. He's just rolling around like he just loved being there. Let's see. Yep. So yeah, you know, it's like I'm trying to, I guess, tend to the good plant that I want to keep, but haven't been as proactive about that and keeping the weeds out. And they haven't killed the good plants, but they were definitely trying, and it took a lot of them to get it as choked as it was, and it took me a long time to get them pulled out. And I'm gonna have to revisit it because they're, you know, like, you have to get to the root of the thing, and some of those freaking roots are pain in the freaking ass. Yeah. You know, but if you don't go all the way to the root of the issue, then it's still, you're not going to necessarily know the full extent of the issue, I guess. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything else to include on that. I think an hour and 8 minutes and 9 seconds a couple seconds ago. 8-9, that's progression. Another step on the path. So, yeah. Honestly, all this makes it make more sense for me why I have so much work to do. Because, yeah, I'm trying to grow the good stuff more so, but still got to get all the bad out of my system. Like the fact that that so many of my videos I've had to go back into the garbage with my dad, that, as I've said many, many times, is not just about me and my dad. It's like so much bigger than that, because then there's like all these layers of like the church crap that's gotten shoved down my throat, and that's where a lot of these bad beliefs have come in at. So I'm going to have to get triggered and get motivated to work on pulling out the weeds to, you know, essentially save the healthy plant. And well, it'll be healthier now that there's not weeds trying to choke it out. You know, I should probably go dump some water on it since it's freaking hot, and I don't know when the last time it rained was, or when the next time it will rain is. And here's the damnedest thing. It just now occurred to me that this spigot at the back of the house is closer to that flower bed, so I could water it from its freaking side, rather than going all the way around the pond with the damn hose. Yeah. It's taking ridiculous things for me to make some of these connections. And honestly, I might not have, had it not been for the fact that the last time I tried to use the hose at the front of the house, okay, so we have like this, I don't know, I think it's supposed to be 100 foot. I won't swear to that. But it goes around to that corner, or the side corner, a lot more easily. But when I went to hook it up, I hooked it up, and then I realized I couldn't spin the thing with where it was hooked up or how it was hooked up at that point. So I had to unhook it so I could get some of the hose off of the thing before I hooked it up, so then it would all be connected better to make that workable. So then when I started spinning it to get the hose off of it, a bunch of like yellow powder started coming out of it, and then all at once like all these bees started coming out of it, so we have a freaking bee's nest in the hose. So I have not done anything else with that hose. Yeah. No, I don't want that either. Look at this. It used to be a ball. Now it has been battered. Jolly balls with the handle that's actually a horse toy, and Taz chomped it to death, and then she started chomping it, and then they both just shake the shit out of it, and it's it's probably way beyond its lifespan at this point, you know, because it looks pretty dead. And there's another one up on the porch that's just like it. Handles all broke off, got big holes in it. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I'm gonna go water my peonies now that the weeds are mostly gone and the plants are looking better. It's not the freaking heat of the day. What a trip. Gosh. Yeah. Gotta tend to the weeds, kids. And still risk getting shat upon by birds, but here we are, whatever. Am I discouraged? No, I still think it's hilarious. So, until the next time, this is me in all my glory, in this glory too. Yeah, until the next time, I appreciate you, and see you later.